All right, here we go. In three, two, one. We're back at it here on the Alaska Sports Talk podcast. So glad to have you along wherever you're tuned in, wherever you get your podcasts. As Keaton Homer, Isaiah Freeman along with you. It is I don't know. It's been a weekend. I mean, in sports here in Alaska. There's been a
It's
lot of stuff going on.
so much stuff.
A
So
lot of
much
stuff.
stuff.
And I mean, not even just outside of sports. I feel like I've been doing stuff just family related, like there's just been like, okay, you know, got sports this night. Oh, got this thing going on this night. Like, I thought the holidays were over. Like,
A birthday party I know we were both at
yes,
on
yes,
Sunday.
yes. And
Yeah.
my apologies for not finding you prior to my early dismissal there. I had other commitments as well. So,
It's Keaton, it's all good.
well,
It's There were little kids all over the
dude,
place. It was
it was
wild.
great. It was
Yeah,
great though. That
it
thing
was
was
awesome.
awesome. It was
20
great.
20 29 kids.
There was that many.
It was 29 kids.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
I didn't know
I
there were
couldn't
that many.
I couldn't believe it either.
You
I
got
got the bill.
everybody
I
in
was
there.
like, well, 29 kids?
Uh,
Like,
whoa.
wow, okay. I guess they counted the
Uh,
babies too. So
yeah.
yeah,
Whoa.
yeah.
You sure they didn't count adults?
Well, adults aren't ones that have to part of that package is they don't
Yeah.
have to pay. It's just the kids. It's just the amount of number of kids that you have. So
You know, I think
yeah, it's a lot of
a,
kids.
a light bulb just went off in my head. And
What's
then
that?
I'm saying sponsor of the show. There it is.
Hey, yeah.
I'm
Hey,
I'm not
that's
going to throw the name out there yet, right?
no, I'm
But
I'm with you, but I will say this. They did give me a little bit of a break on the amount of kids as far as
okay.
price per kid after the package. So,
Yeah, you get a
or
little
so
something. That's
so it
good.
was definitely it was definitely yeah, that definitely helped. And there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
I would have
Oh,
heard a
I've been there.
lot.
I've done the exact same party you've done.
It
So
would have
I've
hurt a
seen
lot.
it.
Would have hurt a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Anyway, it
At
was
least
good
we got
times
to
though.
at least we got to watch the football game for a little while during
We
it.
did. That was
Yeah.
and it got kind of good there. I
It
mean,
did. It
for a
did.
moment I was like, "Oh, Philly's going to win it." Running away, you're up two scores and then, as I was, walking out the door, uh the Rams scored a touchdown, got the ball back and I was like, "Whoa.
Oh, yeah,
They're
it
going to do it. They
was
might do it." And then
on.
yeah,
If Stafford doesn't throw that ball six
right.
yards out of bounds,
Yeah. Who
I mean,
knows?
on fourth down,
Yeah.
eesh,
You got to give
man,
your guy a chance on fourth down. Any fourth
you
down.
you
I
have
don't care if
to.
you throw an interception.
Well, no, it's fourth
Like,
down, especially it's
it doesn't matter,
the
dude. You
last
can't throw
drive.
the ball out of bounds. You cannot throw the ball
You
out of
just can't do
bounds
it.
on fourth down.
You
Oh,
can't do it. That
chuck it deep.
Stafford's
Dude,
receiver had no shot on that pass.
give him a chance.
Zero, zero.
Like, make it a close play. I don't know. That's just frustrating. And I get it. The weather sucked. It was
Yeah, it was
inclement
not
weather.
great weather.
He couldn't hang on to the ball. Kyron Williams couldn't hang on to the like it was gross. I get it. But anyway. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was Sunday's slates of games were pretty good.
So I mean, are we going to get another Philly Chiefs
Oh,
Super
please, I
Bowl? Looks
hope
like.
not. I really hope not. I I'm rooting. I think the whole country besides Kansas City fans are rooting for Buffalo. I know I am. I'll say it. I'm saying it. I'm rooting
I
for Buffalo.
Yeah. Let's see. No team has won a Super Bowl 3 years in a row. Right?
Correct.
It's never happened. We've had plenty of, I say plenty of times. Um, I think three Cowboys won 3 and 4 years in the
Yeah.
90s. I believe the Patriots did the same in the early 2000s,
Yep.
I think.
Well, they
And
won back.
then
Yeah, they won back to back early 2000s. Then the Seahawks, if Russell Wilson doesn't throw the pass and
yeah,
we hand it to Marshawn Lynch,
could
we would have
have.
had back to back. That didn't happen.
Broncos went back to back
Broncos went back to back. Well,
in
yeah, Broncos.
the
You're
yeah
right.
with John
Late
Elway,
late
98,
90s.
99. Yeah.
Yep, they went back to back.
Yeah. And beat Green Bay and they also beat Atlanta.
Yep.
Um, I don't know if the Steelers won 3 out of 4 years in the Super Bowls in the 70s. I feel like they might have.
I would I
but
would think they probably did.
I would put the Steelers in there. I know the Cowboys definitely did it in the 90s, and I know the Patriots definitely did it. Those are the only two teams that come to mind, maybe the Steelers as well. So I just don't want the Chiefs to be that first team that wins three Super Bowls in a row. But
Well,
you know,
I would rather not have another 2 weeks in between the games
yeah.
of just Kansas City stuff. I mean, we've had that the last 2 years. I don't really want to have that again.
You know, but this is every fan that's not a Kansas City fan. Obviously, if you're a Kansas City
Again,
fan, you're like,
of
yeah,
course,
this is
of course.
great. Yeah.
Oh, if it was the
But
Seahawks, I'd be right there. I totally
right.
agree.
Yeah.
But
On the outside looking in here.
uh,
Yep.
I'm definitely on the outside. I'm like,
Oh,
all
me
right,
too. Yeah,
you know,
definitely. Yeah.
who are
So
you? NFC East matchup for the NFC Championship. I wouldn't have called that one.
yeah.
That's
What was it?
unfortunate for everybody.
What was it? With Washington making the NFC title game, every NFC team has made the title game since the Cowboys last appeared in it in 96.
Yep,
It's been that long. So
it's been that long.
everybody else,
Everybody
we're
else
still waiting. So, like,
You know
I
what
don't
this
know.
is
I
gonna?
mean, I think the Washington storyline is unique. I really
Oh,
do. I mean,
it's
a
incredible.
rookie quarterback, a first year head coach. I think I just don't know how long he can keep doing. Can he keep like playing the way he has? It's been amazing. Like you
It
just
really
think at
has
some
been
point in time
unreal.
he would falter, but he has shown that he pretty inflappable. So
I just
I
know
and
what
yeah,
I know what this ends up meaning for next year. That means that first Sunday night football game, it means we will have NFC East matchup again for like the
well,
15th year in a row besides this past year because the NFC East is in the NFC Championship game. So that means that first Sunday night
maybe.
football, it's going to be Giants Eagles or
Well, it used to be Giants
Washington
Cowboys for like a few years there. I was like,
Washington.
man,
It's going to be Washington Cowboys. That's because they're going to have a new coach, and if it's Dion, you know that's going to happen. You
oh yeah.
know that the Sunday night football, it's just going to be so obnoxious.
Uh,
But I
I would
digress.
like it if it was the
Oh,
Cowboys. I
you definitely
don't have a
would.
problem. Don't have a
No,
problem there. Yeah.
no, just the rest of
Yeah.
America would.
Yeah.
But
Oh, I mean,
it goes back to the point of if you're a fan of those teams, I get it. I
yeah,
do.
yeah. You're a fan.
Yeah,
So
the Seahawks aren't going to be that game, but
right.
all right. We'll play the 12 o'clock window.
Yeah, there you go. Play your afternoon games. So
Yeah.
have fun.
Yeah,
But
except when we go to the East Coast.
right, right. That was trippy, by the way, when I was on my my vacation, kind of flashback to a couple of weeks ago. Like the Sunday night game
It's
when
late.
I was like, I'm looking at my watch, it's 8:30 and it hadn't kicked off yet. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like this
Game
is wild.
game
Like,
would already be over here.
yeah. I'm just like, and then I look down because I watched the entire game. I stayed up and watched the entire game on the boat. Um, and I got back to our cabin on the ship, and it was like 11:50, almost midnight. And I'm like, the game just got over. Like, what the heck, man?
This is horrible.
This is crazy. Anyway, yeah. So that's one thing I don't miss. East Coast starting times. So
East Coast starting times. I don't know how people do it.
brutal, brutal. Yeah, I always think about that, like during the week, like especially NBA games,
Oh,
like games that start 8 o'clock Eastern. I'm like in New York City, and then you're watching like, okay, you go to the game, you're there for 3.5 hours, then you got to get up and go to work next day. I'm like, what the? No, it's just
yeah.
not a good
No
combination.
thanks.
Not for
No
me.
thanks.
Not for me.
I'll pass.
Anyway, yeah. One thing I won't pass on: a lot of high school hoops last
Lots
weekend.
of high school hoops.
This week, obviously, big week yet again. So we'll talk upcoming tournament. One of the bigger tournaments we're going to focus on, at least in this episode, the Alaska Airlines Classic, which is actually starting today on the recording of this podcast on Tuesday night. So it starts off with the girls portion of the tournament today, tomorrow, and then the boys tip off on Thursday. Thursday, is it Thursday morning or Thursday afternoon ish?
Thursday afternoon. The
Yeah.
West is playing Ketchikan, I believe, in the the game for in front of the student body.
Right.
So,
Right.
and then the other games are after school.
Right. Exactly. And that runs all the way in through Saturday. So we'll kind of preview that tournament a little bit. We'll talk about UAA sports, men's and women's basketball, as they were in action this past week as well. And then we'll also talk a little bit of UAA hockey, the Governor's Cup Series taking place, or at least a game at the Avis Alaska Sports Complex last Saturday. They play three more up in Fairbanks coming up, I believe. Um, I think it's this weekend. No, 31st. 31st is when it is. Sorry.
31st.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. So 2 weeks away. That 31st, first, and then they have a week off, and then they play on the 8th as well. So the last three games of the Governor's Cup Series coming up. So we'll kind of recap what happened with that. But Isaiah, tournaments from last week. I know we had our eye on the South tournament.
Yep.
The Nome Belts Nanooks winning that South Wolverine Classic tournament. They look pretty impressive, and I know you saw a little bit of that tournament and saw
Yeah.
some of that championship game.
Yeah, it was a pretty good game. Nome really held a anywhere from 7 to 13 point lead pretty much the entire second half. It was back and forth a little bit in the first half, but South really started to take, or Nome, excuse me, started to really take some more control in the second half, and they ended up with that double-digit win. Nome looked pretty impressed and pretty impressive. Their Finn Gregg for Nome took another MVP for the tournament. He's really a stud. I know he's going to UAF next year. He was pretty impressive. Pretty impressive.
Well, yeah, and I don't know if it's just him on the team, but I think Nome is a little bit. They're a fairly complete squad. I feel
Oh
like.
yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean,
I would say one thing I've noticed over the tournaments over the last, since Christmas break is really the teams that have played together for a while that might be a little bit more senior heavy, obviously, that have time in the system, that have time with a coach. They're executing obviously at a higher level, which means they're in game, in flow of the decisions within an offense, within a defense is a little bit better. They're not as quote unquote wild where it's run and gun all the time and not knowing when to, push, when to pull back a little bit, set up an offense, really work the defense, those types of things. And you could tell that Nome has played together for a while. Coach has them, obviously. Coach Callahan has been there for a long time. They know the system. He does a really nice job with those guys. They're going to be a real force at the 3A level for sure for the boys.
I can definitely see it. And so congratulations to the Nome Belts Nanooks winning that tournament this past week, the South Wolverine Classic. I feel like it was formerly known as the O'Brady's, wasn't it?
It was.
I feel like I just want to say that because for the longest time, just like the O'Brady's. Everybody knew where you were at. Oh yeah, the O'Brady's. You're in the O'Brady's.
O'Brady's.
Yeah. And now it's just South Wolverines Classic, formerly known as O'Brady's. That's what I'm going to call it. What is it like? Yeah,
must just
the artist formerly known as Prince or something like that, or what is it?
The tournament formerly known as O'Brady's.
Yeah.
Where's it played? Oh, South.
See, yeah, right, yeah. See, we're gonna give it so much play on the podcast that they're gonna be back next year, and it's just gonna be like, oh look what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll give a coach a heads up.
There you go. Yeah.
Hey, so, FYI, just so you know, you might want to go back.
Oh man. Other tournaments that were happening last week outside of the South one, I think the Colony Basketball Classic.
Colony Basketball, yep. They had
also
one
taking place. I'm trying to find some scores specifically from those matchups last Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But let's see. Obviously, Colony partaking part in that tournament. Monroe girls, the Juneau boys also in that. The East boys were also part of that tournament as well.
Service girls were there as well.
Service girls, South girls, oddly enough, were also there too.
Colony girls ended up winning. Haley Clark was the MVP.
Perfect.
And then Betty Davis East ended up winning. but I know they had a real close game with, I believe it was Monroe, or no, Colony. Maybe it was Colony. It was one of those two. I want to say it was Colony. I think they won by
It was.
60 to 55. And Deng Deng from East ended up taking the MVP for the Colony
Wow.
boys
Okay.
tournament. So yeah,
Nice. I'm trying to go through the ticker here, stats and info,
stats and
you
info,
know,
the ticker.
trying to track down scores. Monroe beat Colony last Saturday, 47 to 40, um, in that
Oh,
tournament.
I missed that one.
So yeah,
Wow.
Monroe, yeah, with a win over the Colony Knights.
I'm pretty sure
Um,
I know I'm pretty sure uh Jet McCall Jet from Monroe Catholic, Jet
yeah,
McAuliffe. I believe he was on the all tournament team as well. He's been on a few all tournament teams. I've
well, nice.
seen those lists around, and he's on a lot of them.
Yeah, yeah. East beat Juneau 71-54 um, on that same night. Trying to find other scores from that tournament there as well. Let's see. West Valley beat Lathrop 47-43. Yep. No, well, that was in the South Wolverine Classic 66-56, a 10-point win for Nome in that one. Uh, Man, I thought I saw another one, but I guess not. I'm seeing things, Isaiah. It's,
Seeing things.
you know,
Hey,
just
I get
seeing
it.
things. Okay. It's all good.
It's Tuesday night,
Bottom
long day at
line,
work.
East won it. Okay.
Yep.
And yeah, East won the Colony Night Classic. So congratulations to the East Thunderbirds. And dang, dang, surprising enough, I remember talking to Coach Martin. What was it now? Oh, how many weeks? Was it a month ago already? Has it already been
Yeah,
that long?
I think it's been long. It's been longer than a month, hasn't it?
Wow. Geez, doesn't
Pretty
today's 21st? Oh, wow, that's yeah. So right around maybe a month, a little longer than a month, and we were all, I'm not going to say hyped up on Muhammad Sabali, but we thought that he was kind of going to be the player to, really guide this team. And not to say that Coach Martin said, oh, he's not going to be a key factor for him, but he was really, um, you know, cognizant and saying like, hey, we know we got Muhammad Sabali. We know what we have in him, but I don't think other people know him necessarily, uh, the consistency that we're going to get from Dang Dang,
right.
and proved it there in
Yep.
that tournament. I mean, taking home the tournament MVP. So
Absolutely.
picking up that award and some hardware and a chance to pick up some more hardware this coming weekend when they participate in the Alaska Airlines Classic. Any other scores, notes that we want to touch on before we kind of get into
Yeah.
this
Let's
Alaska Airlines Classic?
we'll touch on the Uniclete has a pretty um dominant tournament, a real well known tournament out in Uniclete, the Christopher Lockwood Memorial Tournament. That happened this past weekend. Uh, Nome girls ended up winning that. I know Nome had a tournament. They were out at South. The Nome girls were down at Uniclete. They ended up winning that. Benny Lee was the girls all tournament team MVP. And then for the boys, Uniclete ended up winning that for the boys, and Paxson Comac was the tournament MVP for Uniclete. So congratulations. At some point, we're going to try and have on a 2A coach, administrator,
Yep.
somebody that can really talk a lot more about the 1A and 2A classifications. Because the truth is, Keaton and I just don't get to be, we're not able to get out to a lot of those
Yeah.
places and watch games. It just, they're just too far away for us to, hop on a plane and get out there with some of our
Yeah.
other responsibilities. So we're going to try and get some people on so we can talk a little bit more about them. But yeah, there's been a few of the 1A, 2A tournaments that are going on, uh, in the past few weeks.
Yep.
So want to get kind of caught up on that, and that'll be good previews into, especially into the conference tournaments and state championships later on in March.
All right. Here's the idea. Just popped into my head.
All right.
Alaska Sports Talk basketball tournament.
Hey,
We get, I mean, we get a team, 1A team, 2A team, 3A team, four. I mean, we cover the bases, right? Team
okay.
from each. Okay. And then, I don't know, maybe we sprinkle in, I don't know, an out-of-state team or a couple out-of-state team. I don't know, but I think it'd be kind of cool. You get somebody from, all over the state of Alaska at all levels, I don't know. Just throwing it out there. Could be an idea.
We do have a little bit of experience in running events.
There you go. Right.
There's a
Vreeman Solutions.
We have a little bit of experience on that. You running stuff, me running some things. I mean,
just saying.
We might be able to pull that off.
I don't know what would be a neutral site. I mean, we don't have our own gym, but
yeah, that's where we do come into a little bit of an issue. Maybe I'll talk to the Alaska Airlines Center.
There you go. The Ox Gym. Boom.
The Ox Gym. We could pack that thing out.
Or
we really could. We really could. Depending on the teams we invited, we could really pack that out.
Or the Avis Alaska Sports Complex, a little bit bigger than the Ox Gym.
Yeah.
Right. The old gym that UAA used to play in. So I don't know. Just ideas. Maybe
no one. That's Pat. That's Pat. Stats and research. Write it down.
Write Star that email.
Down.
Yep.
Star it.
Come back to that.
It's copyright and trademarked.
If somebody,
it's a verbal contract.
Did I ever tell you my story? This is completely sidetracked.
I'm all about
before we get into until we get into the Alaska Airlines Classic. All right. So for whatever reason, I don't know. I think I was probably in college, at UAA, like my junior year or something like that. And I had this idea. I wanted to start a restaurant. I don't know why. I wanted to start a restaurant. I was like, a sports bar kind of thing. Yeah. It was never going to happen, but I'm putting like ideas on paper. Okay. Like what I'm going to call it. I'm like, what would be a good sports bar name? The Varsity. I'm like, yeah.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. I had it on paper. Dude, I am not even kidding. This is not a joke. And when UAA opened up the arena and had that as the name, I was like, they stole my idea.
They grabbed my napkin.
Somebody overheard my idea and they took it. And I was like, dang it. This is unbelievable. But I am dead serious. Dead serious. Wanted to open up like a sports bar or something related because I'm like, Buffalo Wild Wings wasn't up here yet.
No.
It was, I don't know. There wasn't really anything, dedicated just to like a sports bar. And I was like, a good sports bar name would be the Varsity. Right. And I'm like, yeah, that works. And then lo and behold, 2014 rolls around and what happens? Whabammy.
Varsity Sports Grill.
There you go. So
I'm
just saying, I think I should get a royalty.
You really should.
I don't know how I could prove it now, but I'm just saying.
Keaton, I trust you.
I wish the world operated like that. Keaton, I trust you. Yeah. I trust you. Yeah. Oh, great.
Unfortunately, I don't hear that too often either.
Yeah, right. Oh, man. Anyway, yeah, completely sidetracked. Anyway.
I wasn't too sidetracked. It did relate to the Alaska Airlines Center and the Varsity Sports Grill, which is a facility that we are often at. So
that's true. Very much so. Speaking of Alaska Airlines, there you go.
Yeah. How do you like that transition?
There we go.
That's
segue to the Alaska.
Professional sounding transition. Well, not now that I said all that stuff. Now I totally ruined it.
It's all good. Hey, it doesn't matter.
Wow.
Doesn't matter. It's still good. It's still good segment. It's still good. Still good copy. So
still good copy.
Oh man, Alaska Airlines Classic this weekend. As I mentioned, it's already taking place today with the girls games tipping off today, tomorrow, and then the boys games on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And this is one of the best tournament fields that they've had in a while. In terms of who's coming up, especially Division I players. There's a handful of players that have already committed to Division I teams. I know the Hoover, Alabama team. They got a guy who's already committed to the University of Tennessee. There's another guy from one of the California schools that's coming up. I think he's committed to like San Diego State.
Yeah, Tay Simmons.
Yeah, so it's a loaded field. I mean, Hoover, Alabama, this is a team that's returning 10 guys from last year's team that went 30-3. You return 10 dudes from a team that went 30-3, you're going to be pretty good.
You're going to be pretty good.
Yeah, I would say
you're going to be pretty good.
And last that I checked, I think they might have been, I haven't looked at it yet, but I want to say they were undefeated or maybe lost one game. last I checked. And they were like 21-0, I think, coming up to Alaska. They're the 17th ranked team of the nation right now. I think they actually might be even higher than that um, going into this week. But this Hoover, Alabama team, and I do feel sorry for Service. Like,
Yeah, that's gonna be a rough
I
one.
don't know how they drew the short straw in that one or who they upset or anything of that nature. But I was like, oh,
That's gonna be that's
it, if
that's
you're
that's a
Service, what's the game plan in this? I mean, you're facing dudes that 6'5", 6'9". Um, I mean, these are guys you don't see, right? Dwayne Brown the second, he's a 6'9", 250-pound power forward who's going to the University of Tennessee. Like, you don't see Division I talent like that up here often, right? And
no.
I just wonder what the standpoint is from Service. Like, how can they hang around, so to speak, and keep it? And I'm not trying to anger any Service fans out there, but keep it respectable, right? In
Well,
terms
I
of like, I don't know.
I can tell you what we did. Our Heritage Christian team, when we had not the team that won the back-to-back state titles. I'm talking
Yeah,
about our other team. We were at the Alaska Airlines Classic, and we played a team that was a lot like that, just bigger, taller. Our biggest guy was 6 foot. I mean,
yeah,
we just didn't have we don't have those kind of dudes. And the only way you can really keep it close is you got to be great defensively. I mean, just absolutely great defensively, and you've got
yeah,
to be able to knock down shots and not turn the ball over. If you give them extra possessions and you try to get into the game of run and gun, you're dead. And it's going to
yeah.
be name the score and you're toast. I mean, that was the only chance. That was the
Sure.
only chance. And what happened after the first quarter? They were only up by two, and the coach was screaming and yelling at the players like, "How can you let these guys, like, they're not even 6 feet tall?" Blah blah. Blah. I mean, you could hear the gym. Everyone could hear what he's screaming, and the players are looking around. They don't understand what's going on, but it was because we played really smart team defense, and that was the only way. And we hit down some threes. Now we ended up losing
Right.
by 15, but again,
Hey, that
if
I
we
mean,
got if we got into a run and gun game with them, it would have been 120 to 10. I mean, there's just no way. So
yeah,
Service, if I'm Service, I'm working at half court offenses and not trying to run and gun. But at this stage, if that's not what you do,
right.
you're not going to be able to change that in a week
Well,
of practice heading into a tournament. It's just not going to happen. So, yeah,
and the thing that could be working against them, I mean, that we don't have the shot clock implemented yet,
no,
right? And so this tournament does use the shot clock. They have a
it
35
does.
second shot clock.
Yep.
And I don't know if that hurts Service, helps them, you know, uh,
In a game like this,
yeah,
it's going to hurt them because
you think?
you can't limit possessions. You can take all the shot clock,
Yeah,
but
true.
I mean, we didn't hold the ball for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. We didn't do that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
But
Play
we
four
would take,
corners.
but no, we wouldn't do that stuff. I've got the game tapes if people don't believe me. But we would work the ball and we would look for a good shot. If that came at 20 seconds, great. But if it came at
Yeah,
45 seconds or 50 seconds, we would wait till then. So
right.
again, the shot clock definitely makes for this kind of matchup where it's going to be, watching Service a little bit this year already. That's going to be a really tough matchup for them.
Yeah,
That's
yep.
to your point, Keaton. You don't see that kind of size overall, that high level Division I up here. Not like that.
No, no,
Not
not
like that.
not not like that. And
Six
Hoover,
nine, 6'9", 250 pounds.
yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
you just don't see that up here.
not up here. I
Not
mean,
up here.
very,
Not like
very,
that.
very rarely. Very. I mean, we're talking that's
Boozer
like
was
a once a
Boo,
decade,
well,
if
Boozer,
that.
if I'm not mistaken, Boozer's the last guy that I can think of that was that size. And even Boozer wasn't 250 pounds, not in
Yeah,
high school.
yeah.
I mean,
No, it'll be interesting. I mean, the three out of state teams that are coming up. I mean, they got dudes.
they
I
got
mean,
dudes. They
they
got
got
dudes.
dudes.
They
They
got
got
dudes.
some dudes. Hoover, Alabama, out of Alabama, obviously. Heritage Christian out of California, and then Columbia out of Georgia. I mean, all three of these teams have guys that are going to go on and already have committed at some
Hmm.
point to playing Division One basketball here. And uh, not to say that the guys that are representing Alaska, I mean, East, Colony, West, Service, Ketchikan, aren't going to have that potential because they certainly do. There's players on each of those teams that have that potential that can go play. Um, but they also, no disrespect to East Colony, West Service, and Ketchikan, you don't have consistent 6'5", 6'9" guys um, that are that dominant. You know, uh, you think of Dang Dang, Muhammad Sabali for East. I think maybe Muhammad Sabali is probably listed 6'4", maybe
Yeah, he's
somewhere in
listed
that
6'4".
neighborhood.
Yep.
Um,
Dang Dang's listed 6'5".
yeah, and but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this whole thing shakes out. And Van Williams, by the way, if you go to AlaskaAirlinesClassic.com, he's done a great write up and kind of looking into all these teams and talking about their background coming up here.
Hmm.
Mentioned that Columbia, Georgia, they've been up here before. They took part in the Alaska Airlines Classic back in 2018, and they actually won the title over West that year, 83-46 in that game. The thing that really stands out might not be anybody on the floor, although they got fantastic players, but the story I think is maybe their head coach who's been there such a long time, such a long time. Um, he has a record of 723 and 244, all time record, right? That's wild.
That's a wild
You've
record.
you've coached almost 1,000 career high school basketball
That
games.
is
Like,
impressive.
yeah, I would say so. I would say so. Um, so and he and he's still doing it. So Coach Phil McCary, the head coach of Columbia, making another appearance here again. I mean, last year's team. I'm trying to see what they did last year in terms of record. I don't know if that gives me what they did last year. Oh, last season they went 30-2. Sorry.
Oh,
Uh,
30-2. Oh,
yeah, yeah, 30
oh
and
my
2.
goodness.
Uh-huh. Oh, sorry, no, excuse me. They went 28-4 last year. The year before that, they were 30-2.
Oh,
So, yeah,
slackers. I
I
can't
know.
believe it.
I know. You lost a couple of extra games in there.
Oh my
So,
word. It's
um,
terrible.
it's just absolutely awful. I know. Goodness gracious. Trying to see what the record of was for Heritage Christian coming into uh, um last year. I don't see it off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure that they had another, fantastic season. Mentioned that Tay Simmons committed to San Diego State University already, averaging 19 points per game, 11 rebounds, averaging a double double on the season. Dylan Shaw almost close to that as well, averaging 21 points, 8 rebounds per game. Both those guys playing for Heritage Christian out of Northridge, California. There's going to be a lot of talent on the floor at the Alaska
Yeah.
Airlines Classic. I mean, not just from the out-of-state teams, but when you get East, Colony, West, Service, and Ketchikan out there as well, it's going to be a fun tournament to watch. Let me pull up the bracket here. Do 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 do. That's a sound effect. Add that in there. Um, anyway, so Thursday for the boys matchups, it starts with that 1:30 p.m. game. West and Ketchikan, when everybody gets out of school a little bit early to go down to the West Gymnasium. If you want to hear the loudest place in Anchorage that afternoon, just
That will
go
be it.
to West
Yep.
because it is, I'm not going to say chaos, but it feels like it. It's pandemonium. It's just,
It's
it's crazy.
it's controlled chaos. That makes
Yes.
any sense.
Yes.
Somewhat
But
controlled,
it's
but
great. It's good.
it is awesome. The
It is
student
awesome.
game at West is great.
And then that 4 o'clock game, Service in Hoover, Alabama at 4 o'clock. And then your two nightcaps, Colony and Heritage at 5:30. And then it is East and Columbia at 7 o'clock to end that opening day. I don't know if I want to take a. I'm broadcasting these games, so I'm not gonna like.
You probably
I'm not gonna
shouldn't.
guess venture a guess or prediction on any games, um, but uh, definitely I could see two out of state teams playing
Uh,
in the championship. I could definitely see that.
yeah. Oh, I
Um,
definitely can see
yeah.
that.
So we'll see how it plays out. We never know. We always get some shocking things that happen in this tournament.
We
So
do. And
there's
again,
been upsets.
if you can control the ball, you still have the
Yep.
shot clock, but if you get good shots and you take time and you turn the other team over,
Got it. Yep.
at the high school level especially, it's true for all levels, but especially high school,
Yep.
you can come out winners. You really
Definitely.
can.
The girls' basketball side of things started tonight, as we mentioned a couple of times. Earlier tonight, it was Bartlett versus Ketchikan, and then Lumen Christi versus West. Tomorrow or Wednesday, depending on when you are listening to this, the 22nd, Ketchikan versus Lumen Christi, Bartlett versus West, and then on Thursday, the 23rd, it's Lumen Christi versus Bartlett, Ketchikan versus West. The games on Thursday for the girls tournament start a lot earlier. That's
Yep.
9 a.m. for Lumen Christi versus Bartlett, and then 11:15 for Ketchikan and West, because there's 6 basketball games in total that day. By the time you throw in the 4 boys games, so a lot happening on that Thursday coming up here in a couple of days over at West High School. So I know where I'll be. I'll be at the Alaska Airlines Classic Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it should be some fun, entertaining high school hoops. That is for sure. And our friends over at Alaska Airlines Classic.com will have you kind of all caught up on write-ups and tournament info and things like that. So you can surf on over there. You get caught up on all that stuff. So,
Yep.
uh, yeah. I don't know if I want to talk about this next thing. It's going to be tough. It's tough.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be tough. I'm
It's
with
a
you.
downer. Can't do it, man.
It's a downer for us. I mean, in some ways, I'm happy for some, but at the same time, it is
It was hard.
it's rough. It's
It
rough.
was hard.
It's rough.
Yeah. Let's just get into it.
Yep.
UAA, UAF rivalry game. This past Saturday, the Nanooks making the way down from Fairbanks to take on UAA. Seawolves have been on a 2-game losing streak going into Saturday, so they're trying to beat their rival, get back in the win column. The Nanooks, I said it during the broadcast, they've been somewhat upstart, somewhat surprising in conference. With a 4-2 conference record going into that game against UAA, and I was talking to Tobin Karlberg, and I asked him, "Hey, are you all surprised like how this team has played?" And he said, "I'm not really surprised. I knew we could get to this point, but it's just been a lack of consistency for us, and I think that's been the key word, consistency for the Nanooks and the Seawolves. But if you were at this game, it was a fans game. Don't get me wrong; it was fantastic from a fan standpoint." If you were a Seawolf fan, probably a lot harder to swallow. If you were an Nanook fan, you're elated. I don't think I've ever seen this happen in person, right? I have
Yeah.
not seen what I'm about to explain happen. Seawolves were running away with the game. UAA in the second half had a 19-point lead. I'll say it again, a 19-point lead in the second half. And I'm looking at the play-by-play. Okay. At 9:07 remaining. Okay. It is 70-51 with 9 minutes and 7 seconds remaining in the game. Okay. So UAA is up by 19. Okay. The Seawolves would proceed to only score 6 more points from the rest of that time on. Or actually scores, 4 more points. Okay. From then on, which is wild. Okay.
That is wild.
One of which was they had 1 field goal in that time span. The other 2 points coming from the free throw line. But the Nanooks during that time, they go on like a 27 to 4 run to close it out. UAA, oddly enough, did have a chance to win the game. Tyler Burriston, who hit 7 3-point field goals had a chance with 1.4 seconds remaining, and it didn't fall. It hit off the back of the iron, and the Nanooks ended up winning by the final score of 76-74. But I had to go back and look at the play-by-play and the box score, and I just could not believe it. At 9 minutes and 7 seconds remaining, the Seawolves were up 19, and the very first thought that went through my head was, A, I've never seen this happen, let alone not necessarily even just a UAA, but like any level of college basketball. Um, B, I was like, I would not want to be a player in that locker room.
Not so much. No,
I I just don't know what I don't know. I
I
mean,
wouldn't
that's
want.
one of those games where if I almost maybe as a coach, I don't know what to say. Like
I wouldn't even want to be a coach in that locker room. Honestly,
I
that's rough. That's
I don't know
rough.
what you tell your team, and I'd be curious to ask Rusty that. I mean, that's one of those games where I would definitely need like the 15-minute downtime or whatever the
Need the cooling
NCAA.
down, the
Yeah,
cooling down period. You're gonna
yeah.
need it.
Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
that yeah. I need
yeah. I get
minimum, minimum, because if I was in Rusty's spot, I would be hot to trot. Like I would just I couldn't. I don't know. But we talked about this last week with UAA, and you asked me, kind of what has been somewhat of the issue in terms of trying to close out games and, what's been the problem. And it
yeah.
hasn't been the defense, although the defense down the stretch for UAA in this game against UAF kind of was the problem. They could not guard the three. I don't know. They would not challenge the perimeter line at all. And I'm just, I was a little shocked. And I think
Hmm.
Rusty was a little perturbed by that after calling a couple of timeouts about some of the defensive efforts after they knocked down like 2 threes or 3 threes in a row one time down the floor. And
Yeah.
so that was kind of weird to me. But the the scoring droughts, and it happened again, man. You score one field goal in the last 9 minutes of the game.
It's not gonna win you a lot of basketball games.
No. Well,
No.
I mean, I can't, I don't know. And I would love to know what's kind of going through the huddle when you're up 19, right? Like, do you think you got it locked? Like, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. If I'm in the huddle and I'm looking at the scoreboard, we're up 19 with 9 minutes to play. I'm saying the thought probably enters in my head. This game's
Well,
locked. We're done. We're moving on. We got a W, boys. Like, all we got to do is play defense, score a few buckets here and there. Like, and it, for whatever reason, it didn't happen that way. Like, I don't know.
I think
So,
with the efficiency that people can shoot 3-pointers now, I don't know. 19, 20 point lead is not what it used to be.
fair.
But that being said, at 9 minutes left, you're thinking you get a few stops. You don't even have to score a whole ton, but if you get a few stops and take some quality
Right.
shots, hit down, I mean, just a couple, you're going to
Right.
be in pretty good shape. And yeah, that's tough. That is
Yep.
tough. I was watching that. I couldn't make that in person, but I was listening to your call
Yeah.
and
Well,
like, wow,
what's going
what's
on?
going on here?
I mean, so
What's
the
going
difference.
on here? You sounded perplexed.
Oh, I was like, I was very, I was befuddled. Like, I did not know what I just
Yeah.
witnessed. Like that was shocking. You look at the box score and you take a look at the field goal shooting. I mean, UAF was 28 of 56. The Seawolves were 27 of 57. The lone difference is the one made 3-point field goal that UAF had. One more field goal made from behind the 3-point line. They were 13 of 24. The Seawolves were 12 of 26. And that's your difference. That was it.
Yeah.
The one
That's
3-point field goal is your difference. Um, yeah, it was just shocking. Like, I mean, there was points and times in that second half, early in the second half, where you could kind of look over to the UAF bench, and I'm not going to say they were counting themselves out, but it was not the energy they had from earlier in the game. I mean, uh, so
but a
it was
team goes on a scoring drought.
yeah,
That's
that's it.
all of a sudden they let you back in.
But I mean, it's not just going on a scoring. A team can go on a scoring drought, but you got to rally off. You're down 19.
No, and you
I
got to hit
mean,
shots. I mean, the other
you got
team's
to,
got to
and
hit
they
shots.
did, which was
They
like,
got to hit
okay.
shots.
And there was like three straight possessions down the floor. Three, boom, three, boom, three, boom. Timeout, UAA. Like, what the heck just happened? What was a 19-point lead is down to 10 or 11, right? And I'm like, okay, now we got a game here. Like,
Now they start playing tight. You're giving up this lead.
yeah,
All those things come into fruition. That's
yeah, it was crazy.
yeah,
It was crazy.
that was not
Um, yeah.
enjoyable.
Yeah, for UAA, their leading scorer was Tyler Burston. I mentioned he hit 7 threes. He had 23 points on 7 of 14 from downtown. He was 8 of 16 for the game. Also had 4 rebounds. Bishop Tosi had 17 points on 5 of 8. He had a fantastic game in the paint. Also knocked down a 3-point field goal in the first half as well. Doesn't shoot the three a lot. I think that was only his third made 3-point field goal of the year, I think, or something like that. Hassan Harrington finished with 11. Sean Evans finished with 10. Nanook's, their leading scorer coming into the game was Chris Lee, right? Like Chris Lee
Right.
was averaging like close to 17 points per game. UAA completely took him out of the offense, right? He played 35 minutes. He had 8 points on 3 of 10 shooting, 2 of 6 from behind the 3-point line. Was not really an offensive factor. Isaiah Sams Hoy had 16 points. Jalea O'Keefe had 16. Paul Johnson also had 15. Between Jalea O'Keefe and Paul Johnson, they hit 7 of the 13 3-point field goals and really sparked that run for the Nanooks down the stretch to help give them the 2-point victory. The second year in a row, by the way, that UAA has lost to UAF at home.
Yeah.
So
That's
tough,
tough.
very tough to lose that way. Um, so UAA men's basketball team, they're on the road this week as they get ready to take on come on, Seattle Pacific and oh my goodness, why can I think of the travel partner? Um, Goodness gracious, Montana State Billings. There we go. So SPU and Montana State Billings on the road this week. Start things off with SPU on Thursday, the Montana State Billings on Saturday. Seawolves trying to bounce back. Much needed games. We're getting to the second half portion of the conference season. The Seawolves have lost 3 in a row. They are now 3-4 in conference play and 10-10 overall on the men's side. On the women's side, a little bit of a different story. The UAA
Yep.
women now in the top 25 after the wins they picked up last week, ranked 24th in the coaches poll going into this weekend. The Seawolves 7-0 in conference play. They have won 6 games in a row. They're 16-2, and coming off those victories against Simon Fraser and Western Washington, Seawolves getting it done and staying undefeated. They are the lone undefeated team in the GNAC as they sit atop of the conference right now. Tori Hollingshead had another fantastic game, finished with another double-double, had 13 points, 12 rebounds. Ashlyn Reed, also another double-double performance, 10 points, 10 rebounds. Elena Mack with 12 points. Amelia Long finished with 11 points in that game against Western Washington. So the Seawolves, they have it rolling. Now, I will say this
They
with a little
do.
bit of a caveat. The women, the last 2 games, they play with 8 active. All right. They were missing Heda Kune, who had a little bit of an ankle injury. So the only thing that kind of concerns me down the stretch run of the conference season and on into the postseason potentially is depth. Depth is the only concern with me for the women's side of things. Otherwise, the pieces are in place to make not only a deep run in the conference tournament, but also potentially maybe NCAA tournament, depending on how things shake out as well. But when Heda Kune didn't play this week, yeah, it made life a little dicey at times. So got to get healthy, got to stay healthy, and I think the UAA women's basketball team will be all right. They're also on the road this coming weekend as they will take on Seattle Pacific and also Montana State Billings. By the way, Montana State Billings, that's going to be a top 25 matchup as
Ooh.
well. So that'll be a true road test coming up between
Wow, that will be a good
UAA and
one.
MSUB. Yeah, Montana State Billings lost their first game this past Saturday to Northwest Nazarene. So, yeah, it'll be a good game. be a good series. So, women's basketball team on a roll. The men's team looking for a little answers here. So I'm trying to get back on track. So keep your eye out. Go seawolves.com. You can get all the information for all men's and women's basketball. UAA hockey also happening this past weekend. It was a big day last Saturday with
It
the
was.
men's and women's basketball games going on. And then also the hockey game across campus that night at 7 o'clock against UAF. And it was a barn burner. It ended in a 3-3 tie before the Seawolves won in a shootout. The Nanooks actually scored 2 goals in the third period to take it to an overtime before the Seawolves won it. I think I'm trying to remember who had the goals in the shootout, but I want to say Maximilian Helgeson, I think, had maybe the game winner, but I don't remember off the top of my head. Anyway, Governor's Cup Series, 3 more games coming up. Seawolves trying to win the Governor's Cup for the first time, I believe, since 2001 or 2002, I think. It's been a long time. So
That's been a
Seawolves have a
long time.
chance. But all the next 3 games, they're on the road up at Fairbanks. So 2 games coming up here in a couple of weeks, 31st and the 1st, and then they have a week off before they play UAF yet again on the 8th of February. So we'll see how it shakes out. It's been a little bit of a rough season for the UAA hockey team. I mean, you're 5-17-4 overall.
Yeah.
To win the Governor's Cup would be huge.
Well,
It-
with the
it-
season that they're having, if they win a governor's cup,
I mean,
that
to
would be
end almost what would it? I think it's 20 years. I think it is. Like it's been a long time. So it'll be crazy. It'll be cool to see if UAA is able to get that cup um, this season. So we'll see how it all shakes out. So there's a rundown of UAA sports. There you go. Now to Isaiah.
that's Uh, well, we actually had I know I sent this to you. Want to shout out Coach Darby, the North Pole flag football team coach. He sent an
Yes.
email through contact us with Alaska Sports Talk. And we need this every now and then because as much as Keaton and I are plugged into sports in Alaska, we can't be everywhere all the time. And Coach Darby let us know there's actually a nice article in USA Today High School Sports that the inaugural NFL Flag High School Girls Showcase that's going to headline events heading into the 2025 Pro Bowl Sunday, February 2nd at Camping World Stadium on ESPN, 1 o'clock Eastern. The NFL is airing a game of the flag football East versus West on ESPN during postseason NFL countdown. And 2 North Pole girls actually are on the NFC
That's
team.
awesome.
Yeah. Kamir Williams, linebacker for North Pole, as well as Tiana Guzman, a defensive back for North Pole. So congratulations to you 2 ladies on doing that. That's going to be quite the
That's cool.
experience. That's awesome.
I hope the weather's a lot better than what it is in Florida this week. Have you seen what's happening?
Are they getting snow? Don't tell me
It's
they're
got
getting
snow.
No
100%,
way.
dude. 100%. They have snow in Florida right now.
Oh, man.
100%.
Hey, you just
so-
earned a whole thing to
Orlando,
Florida.
yeah.
Yeah, you're going to Orlando, Florida. Hey, it's in
and
Fairbanks.
snowing.
You live in Fairbanks. It's all cold. You get to go to sunny Florida. Hey, you know what? We thought you missed the snow, so here you go.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
I think
brutal.
it
That
should
would
be
be
warmer
brutal.
by the time they're there,
Oh,
but it's just a
man.
little ironic right now with
That's
everything that's happening.
That's
But-
really ironic. Well, that's in a little over a week.
Yeah. No, but that's cool. Whether there's snow or not, that's going to be a memory
That's
in
true.
a moment for those 2 young ladies that they're going to remember for the rest of their lives. And, Alaska's a unique state. When anybody goes out of state to participate in any sporting event,
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
amazing how this state rallies around them.
100%.
I mean, you could be from a rival high school, and if you go on to participate in the Olympics or you go on to participate in an event like this or anything where you're at the national stage, right?
Yeah.
Alaska's unique in that way. Like, all right, cool. You beat us during the regular season of flag football or whatever, but I guarantee you, every girl that played flag football this season, I would almost venture to say is going to probably at some point in time tune in to watch that game.
Oh,
I would
yeah, I
venture to
would
say.
think so. Absolutely.
I mean, or at least find some highlights of it somewhere and trying to look for, hey, I went against those girls,
Yep.
and played against them. Like everybody's got that story, right? Everybody wants to have, yeah, I
Hmm.
remember, yeah, yeah. I remember when Mario Chalmers dunked on me or whatever it is. It's just
Yeah.
like everybody wants those types of stories. But anyway, it's cool. It's cool for those young ladies to be able to make their way down there, be a part of that team, and they will represent Alaska proudly, 100%. So it'll be very,
Yeah.
very cool to watch. So if you didn't have a reason to watch um, that game prior to the Pro Bowl, now you do. So
Now you do.
now you do. So yeah, but again, as Isaiah mentioned, if there's something special that is happening in the world of sports that we have like touched on or haven't brought up, if something like that, yeah, we do tend to have our ear to the ground on most things, right? But
Yeah.
there's always plenty of things that are going on behind the scenes that we would love to talk about. So reach out to us at alaskasportstalk.com, contact us, shoot us an email,
Yeah.
give us the deets, or whatever.
Or as they say, I learned this. Give me the tea. I had never heard that before. Or spill the tea or give me the tea.
I don't know if that's
Was it
right.
somebody? Yeah, something to do with tea, like TEA. Like we need to
Like
sit
drinking
down and
tea?
yeah, like we need to sit down and drink tea, and you can spill the tea. What's the gossip? What's the word? I never
Okay, I've
heard
heard
that.
spill the tea, yeah, but
Somebody had told me, let's you need to spill the tea or give me the tea or whatever. And I looked at him. I'm like, what on earth are you talking
dude,
about?
if you're
I
asking
have
for a tea,
no flipping idea
if you're
what you're
asking for a
saying.
tea, I'm giving you a technical.
Yeah,
That's technical. Tee 'em up.
tee him up.
Yeah, but no, I've heard
Yeah,
of spill the tea, but yeah,
oh,
okay.
I had never heard that. I was
Well,
like,
it
I
you know
don't no idea what you're saying right now.
it happens when you watch. Uh, I'll admit it. I've watched Bridgerton on Netflix. I've seen it.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
So
Keaton. No,
I'm
no,
sorry. We just
sorry.
lost viewers, didn't we?
I'm
We just
sorry about that.
I think it's close
That's
enough to the end of the podcast that if they
that's
stuck around
unfortunate.
this long, they might not know.
That you may you're open, you're open. So
What's
I
this?
can
What's the
honestly
one
say
thing you took away from this week's podcast?
Keaton
No more
watches.
watches Bridgerton. I heard it.
That's that's exactly right. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe I'll put that in the podcast description.
Hey, go for it. Let it be known. I'm not ashamed.
What
Not
does Keaton
ashamed.
watch and
Yeah.
Isaiah does not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Bridgerton.
Oh, anyway. Somehow we
Wow.
tied Bridgerton into a sports talk podcast, but
Keaton, you
anyway.
were just that talented. That's why
Yeah.
you're the voice of the
Oh.
Seawolves.
Well, I don't know if that's why.
Bridgerton, Bridgerton, and sports. Who can bridge that?
Oh man.
Keaton
I
can.
see what you did there. Bridgerton, bridge that. I got it.
Bingo. I'm getting a little better at that.
Yeah, there you go.
Those teases.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this podcast before we get too off the rails here. So,
We should mention
okay.
Anchorage Wolverines this
Yes.
weekend, Friday, Saturday, against the Kenai River Brown Bears, 7:30 Sullivan Arena. Last time these two teams played was just this past weekend, down in Kenai. They split 1-1. So I would expect a pretty raucous crowd, a wild crowd at the Sullivan. And
Totally.
right now, it's pretty close at the top of the Midwest Division. Wisconsin Wendigo are ahead now by 2 points with one game more played. And Fairbanks is only down 4 points in the standings, but they have 3 less games they've played already than
Yeah.
Anchorage and
Okay.
4 less than Wisconsin. So it's really tight atop the top of the division. So
Got to make a push here if
Yep,
you're
gotta make a
the
push.
Wolverines that time of the season. Speaking of hockey, that time of season for high school hockey. So we'll also be gearing up for postseason hockey as well here in the next couple of weeks because we're right around the corner from state
Yes, we
tournament
are.
time for high school hockey. So keep that on your radar as well over the next couple of podcasts. So that's going to do it for this edition of the Alaska Sports Talk podcast. Remember, wherever you tune in, like, subscribe. 5-star ratings are fantastic. If not, I don't know. we still haven't thought of a punishment. I don't think there is any,
I
but we just like 5 stars.
we'll think of something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe you don't
Something.
get a T-shirt.
Yeah. No t-shirt for you. So but yeah, anywhere you listen to Alaska Sports Talk podcast, like, subscribe. Also check us out on YouTube. You can go to youtube.com, search Alaska Sports Talk podcast, and you can find all the fantastic highlights from all the shows right there, and also including our special interviews with UAA men's and women's basketball head coaches Ryan McCarthy and Rusty Osborne as well. Well, until next week, be sure you get out, support Alaska high school sports. A lot going on this week. We'll see you out there at all the sports.
All
Later,
the
everybody.
sports.